Dean, we're pretty familiar with a big show.
Yeah.
We put on VARTech every year.
Oh, yes, that is a big show.
It's a big show, but the big show typically refers to NRF.
That's true.
The National Retail Federation's huge trade and education show for all things retail.
Yeah.
What did you say the numbers are? 40,000?
40,000 people. It's a big show.
I mean, we think VARTech's big, but
no, it's 3 levels of the JAV. It's huge.
That makes VARTech just look kind of pathetic in comparison.
Oh my God, yeah. VARTech's nothing compared to this show.
I can't imagine. I could not imagine trying to put on a show that big.
Yeah, no.
It's got to require like just a massive team of people working year round just to get you to that.
Yes.
Well, whether you are attending or not, we are here to discuss the show. We're going to talk about what to expect, what comes out of it, how it's going to shape 2026 in retail.
Ooh, bold claim.
Joining us today, it is a bold claim.
Yes.
Joining us today is Intel's Mariya Zorotovich. She's going to explain a little bit about, the theme of the show. She's been to quite a few herself. She's been on multiple different sides of the show as a retailer.
Which is the perspective I like. Yes.
Very much so. She's seen it all from all sides. She has some good ideas about what to expect there, what it does for the industry every year, the theme, how to make the most out of it, what you should be doing if you're planning to attend to make sure that you're prepared and ready for the show. It's about a month away as this episode is coming out. And then also just like, how do you, bridge the gap between the stuff that seems cool but may not be happening and the things that are tangible takeaways for you and your business. Talk about what Intel's going to be doing there. We're talking a little bit about what BlueStar does there. Yep. Apparently, you just go just to have a nice hang. So
well, that's true. Yeah. But I'm telling you what, even if you're not going to NRF, this was such a good conversation.
Very much
She has so many pro hacks on like how to approach a show.
Very much
really good stuff here.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Good stuff. Check it out. I'm John Martin.
And I'm Dean Reverman.
Welcome to BlueStar Nation. BlueStar Nation podcast is brought to you by ELO, your customer's next PO upgrade. PO upgrade? POS upgrade.
Yes, by there.
I mean, if you want to upgrade their POs too, I don't know, like just nicer formatting or something.
No, more money. Like a bigger PO.
More money.
Yeah,
exactly.
We want a bigger PO.
Their next POS upgrade just got cheaper. Everyone likes to hear that, especially around the holidays. Right? We don't like cheap things the holidays. So for a limited time, select ELO POS units are eligible for an instant rebate. ELO POS offers a 15-inch screen, 128 gig SSD, and 4 or 8 gigs of RAM. Other options include Celeron i3 or i5 chips, Windows or no OS, and various wall mount and stand options. The ELO POS instant rebates range from $270 to $655 and can be combined with the Elite discounts. For full details, check out the link in the show notes, but hurry, this offer is only good through the end of 2025, so if you want to take advantage, do it now.
Yes.
All right, our guest today is Mariya Zorotovich.
Yes.
She's the General Manager of Consumer Industries at Intel. We're excited to have this conversation. This is what actually Intel brought to us and said, hey, we should be helping people get prepped and ready for NRF out there. Yep. And that's a great idea. It's a good point. And
it's kind of a big deal, kind of a big show.
Exactly. Yes. And clearly Mariya has that insight. So welcome to the show. Tell us a little about your day-to-day life, your background, and what's going on over at Intel.
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you so much, John and Dean and the entire BlueStar team for having me on. Really appreciate, and particularly this topic, because it did make me stop and pause to think, I probably haven't done this myself yet. So I think it's a good reminder for all of us with enough time out before NRF starts.
There you go.
So Mariya Zorotovich, General Manager of Consumer Industries at Intel. And I would describe myself as someone who has been on an amazing journey at the center of customer experience and emerging technology over kind of the many number of years. And I have spent most of my career in retail, wearing a number of hats, running a retail business. But in the back half of my retail career was spent in retail technology and delivering new customer experiences, driving new improvements in the business around inventory, around buy online, pick up in store, checkout, things of that nature. And so that has really kind of fueled my curiosity, particularly as we look at the emerging technology landscape and what does that actually mean for retail or really any kind of customer facing type of industry. Besides retail, I've had the opportunity to work in cloud and software, also within industry and focused on retail improvement, and then found myself here at Intel, sitting in a chair sitting around the table really for retail, looking at the hardware and compute landscape. which was very different from my previous work, but it all played into what does that next experience look like? How do we continue to evolve retail to that next experience that, surprises and delights customers? And so, that's the passion area for me. For today, like what I do at Intel, I work with a number of team members who are technologists, industry specialists, and we focus on really collaborating across the ecosystem, helping our partners and end customers solve new industry challenges, helping them to deliver new value, new innovations that transform that experience or transform their operations or their business model. And we do this again through a lens of silicon and solution design.
That's awesome. This is such a good perspective because, our audience and our resellers, they're the tech people. They're the solution integrators that is the table that you have joined now, and it's refreshing. It's going to be refreshing to have your perspective, coming out of retail. That's cool. And into the technology side because there's so much happening in retail. It's unbelievable. Right. Yeah. So, absolutely. Let's dive in, as they say.
Let's do that. Yes. And to that end, NRF, the big show, is kind of a launching point for a retail year, I think, and the way people think about what's going to happen in retail. It's coming up January 11th through the 13th in New York City, the Javits Center, I believe is where that said. Yeah.
Yep.
So for those that may not typically attend or have attended in the past, so talk a little bit about what the show is like. How does it set the tone for the retail industry moving into a new year?
So the National Retail Federation Big Show is just that. It is a very big show. It's a showcase of emerging trends, solution providers, retailers, startups, entrepreneurs, real estate, analysts, media, service providers, pretty much anybody within that retail ecosystem. This is kind of like the starting point for the year where everyone comes together. And there's a little bit of everything for everyone, which is so great, kind of under one roof or under one event, including international providers. So you get a lot of different perspectives that come in and that engage. And so from that perspective, it's a great start of the year. It is post the retail holiday season. So you're catching the retail brands or retailers that are attending kind of with like this slate of, okay, they've closed out the year. They're now looking ahead at what they've got to go accomplish and go do for their customers. And so many are coming in with that lens of this is a great place to kind of hear and look for the themes and insights that help, improve my decision making as a retailer, and to also kind of find out what are some of the new things, what's out there on the landscape. It's also a great place to build relationships, network, meet people, maybe people that you've only met, virtually. It's an opportunity to create that relationship and that connection on a topic we love, which is retail.
Absolutely. How many have you been to?
I don't even know.
If I may ask. You've been in the industry for so long. It's like, I bet she's been to at least 10.
I was thinking about that quite a bit. Maybe right under the 10 mark, but here's where I will say, I have a unique perspective. I've attended as a retailer, right? Part of a retail brand.
Oh, I see. I gotcha.
I've attended as a cloud and AI provider. And now I've attended as a hardware compute provider.
Wow.
So
that's the full spectrum.
Perspectives as why I'm at the show or what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, a couple of takes there. It does. It has 40,000 attendees. And what I like about it is huge. That to your point, the networking is off the charts. I mean, you've got a lot of C-level executives, tech innovators. These are people that can move the needle, that can make the decisions, along the way. I guess maybe there's some riffraff going around there, but I'm telling you, like most of the people there, that it's good. And it's like wall to wall. When I attend, it is from the first thing in the morning, from the get-go until late into the evening, you are doing something or there is something to do. Right. Because there's just so much that the show itself offers. I mean, from the floor, they have something called the Startup Hub, which is this area to go to for emerging tech. Maybe you're going to have to hang out around there a little bit more often this time. They have, food service innovation areas, which are really cool, and it smells wonderful and that's where you see like the robotics of like, Fry Daddy and stuff like that.
That's where I'd be
going on. Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's really good stuff. But so you do all that during the day, not to mention the sessions. And then there's networking at night. There's always like dinners or rooftop. Like every rooftop in New York City is doing something during NRF.
Absolutely.
It's right. So dive in a little bit more on the networking, because I think that's part of the value there. Do you get intentional? Do you like try to make meetings and stuff like that with people that you're going to do you have a hit list like, I got to go see this person and stuff like that? Yeah,
absolutely. And this is something that I think I learned really early on. And I would say, though, it was my transition from being in a retail brand and attending versus being more on a solution provider size. And this was kind of my unlock. When I was attending as part of a brand, yes, I was there representing my business. I was there with certain objectives that I need to go get done, but I was kind of very focused on my business and the pieces I needed to go get done, that checklist. But I think now, because so much of the work is interconnected and requires collaboration, the opportunity to build relationships and network is tremendous. So I've done a little bit of everything, from those that I've had these virtual relationships with to say, hey, are you going to be at NRF? Let's meet up. Yep. Let's go connect on this. Let's at least have, coffee or, some type of face-to-face conversation and connect. And then also really purposeful with certain business meetings. So there are things that I've got to get done on the agenda and set up that time. And that really is the place to do it. I mean, truly everyone is there. So being purposeful in the meetings you need to get done, get those set up. Be a little fluid, because everyone's trying to schedule.
Yes, so true.
So be fluid in that.
Yep.
But then for the ones where you're like, no, there's a yes, this is partly for my job and the work I do, but this is also partly for my personal enrichment, for the work that I'm fascinated about and, my passion around retail. And for those relationships, whether it's, during the day at Expo, you try to slip those in when it's like happy hour time or in the evening, making those connections. But I'll tell you, I have lasting relationships with people that I didn't have, quote, work business with, but relationships because we shared a passion around a technology or retail. And we've kept in touch. They've been a great source of community for me. And we always try to meet up at like NRF or, any other type of retail engagement where, many of us are.
Couldn't agree more. It's a good opportunity to do everything. And she just gave you a couple good hacks on how to do NRF, because there's so much to do. Yeah. One of the areas that I always get bogged down on, there's so many sessions as a part of this as well. The education is like, I think I looked it up. There's 174 sessions that you can go to. And Mariya, you've been a part of some of those. Have you not? Have you presented or, so what's that angle like? Is it because some of those stages are pretty big?
Yes. So last year I was on stage with a couple different brands and a customer out of Australia, and we were able to talk through what does that experience look like when you're working with a silicon, a hardware, a cloud, and a system integrator together with a brand who is trying to modernize their base, modernize infrastructure, pause, all of those things. It's a great experience, and it's an opportunity to, what I would say with all the sessions, frankly, is they're really kind of a starting point, because there's really only so much you can get through on stage. So true. It's a starting point for you to kind of go out as an audience member, hear what it has to say, take your notes, and then plan to do some follow-up with people. Follow up with the folks that are speaking, follow up with the brands, et cetera, to really dig in. If you have an area of inquiry that you're like, hey, I think that applies, but I need to go learn more. And then, like you said, they cover everything. And I think I was looking this year with NRF, elevating customer experience and advancing the business model, improved operations, talent and leadership. That's probably going to be a big topic given the changing landscape with AI coming in. Technology topics, of course, integrating AI, agentic AI, Gen AI, what does that actually mean and look like in the business? So there's definitely a nice rounding of topics and sessions for everyone. And this is where I would say the helpful hint is, what do you need to get done and why do you want to go hear it? So, panels, tend to be a little bite-sized piece across a smattering of the subject matter experts that are on stage. If it's more of a focus session on a particular brand and something they did, that may provide different insight for you, maybe a little bit deeper for what you need in your research on that particular topic. So, kind of be curious about what you want to see and who's presenting. That's going to help you determine kind of the level of detail you're going to get out of the session. Really good tips, Mariya. No doubt about it. One of the other areas that I think is really good here is trend spotting, to use a word. You go into it and you hear a lot about like AI, like you just touched on, like AI is everywhere, of course, and Gen AI. But you can really go there to see. And like I said, there's these innovative areas, the startup hub and stuff like that. It's like, what are people thinking of? What is some of the new thought that is going into retail? There's so much activity around it, but you can, for trend spotting, you see, maybe it was there last year. Okay, now this is turning into a thing, maybe, perhaps, or it wasn't a flash in the pan or, some lunatic kind of idea that really didn't catch kind of thing. I always like going there and seeing has it made it out of the startup hub? Is it moving into more mainstream kind of thing? You agree there? I mean, trend spotting is especially when you were a retailer, right? When you worked in or consulted in there, you kind of had to keep your thumb on the pulse of what's happening here. Yes. Trend spotting and driving insights from your time is so critical. And, it is a place where you have to be very good at listening and observing. Because there's a lot of messages coming at you. Right? Remember, on the expo floor, you have solution providers that are, driving their business, providing next solution opportunities to meet certain needs within your business. You have NRF that has an umbrella, talk track and narrative along with all of the sessions. And so listening and observing to see what's kind of rising to the surface. How are they positioning those things? To what level or degree are they talking about those items? You start to get a real sense. And then, of course, also it's what is your peer group doing or your competitor doing, and taking a look there. And then also listening to the questions that people may be asking during sessions. I think there tends to be three buckets, which is there's the aspiration. So there's aspiration and ambition. It's the things that are out there that I wish to aspire for my business. And so you're going to hear a lot of message on, what's out there and, how can my business transform into this? You're going to hear inspiration or see inspiration. It's the things that maybe I'm not necessarily looking for something on X, Y, and Z, but it's an inspirational moment that I go, oh, that's really fascinating. It's really interesting how that startup took this problem, wrapped this technology around it, and came out on the other end with a solution. That's really interesting. How do I go apply that concept into my own business or the problem I'm solving? And then lastly is practical application. And this is where, those that have attended NRF for quite some time and retailers and solution providers, there's a practical application portion. And that's where I find that conversation is definitely happening. It's happening in meetings, one-on-one, and really kind of as you start to dig in, that's where you get to some of the practicality that, where is this technology? How does it really apply? How does it get integrated? Is it feasible? Is it viable within my business? And so you kind of have a smattering across those areas depending upon what you're looking for. But you definitely can get themes and trends across all of those areas. Brilliant. As I walk into the show, of course, I've got a hardware hat on because we distribute hardware. Right. And that's what we want to do. But I think you're really touching on the fact that, to get good value out of it, yes, it's the networking, but it's getting those meetings, having those questions. I think, I would put robotics kind of in that category you were just speaking of, right? It's there's a lot of chatter about it, but what is the practicality? Where is it today? And it keeps moving a little bit closer and closer to practicality. But I'll be very interested this year to see, is it now the year where it's actually becoming practical and it's not this $100,000 investment that all it does is flip a burger? Not that that's not important, but you see what I'm saying, right? It's not necessarily what someone's looking for. Right. Point, or is it getting to the point now where the cost is there? What are other people feeling? What are they talking about? What questions are they asking? Brilliant. Yeah. Really, really good take on that. Yeah. I think your point about what are you seeing in terms of how has it evolved through the years on the floor, and what are the people asking and the questions around it? Exactly. Those are some of the insights where you have to listen and observe. What are people talking about and saying? I think is critical to
that. Yeah, definitely. So let's talk about the theme of the show. It's the next now, which, to be honest, as a marketing
you didn't
guy,
say that in your movie voice, by the way.
No, I didn't. The next now. As a marketing guy, feels a little on the generic side.
Oh, okay.
To me, at least.
Gotcha.
I don't know if it's what I would have selected.
It's a big show, man.
But it is. Right. Yeah, I get it. Come on, there's a lot to understand here. But so I just curious, Mariya, from your point of view, what does that mean to you? And then how do you think that theme is going to influence what attendees are seeing and hearing? Because I'm sure there's a lot of folks, it's like when we have our big VARTech show,
right.
We create a theme and a lot of our partners will build around that theme. So what's your expectation of how people are going to build around the next now?
I think that the next now in some way is fitting based on, to me, when I read that and hear it, what it evokes for me, which is a bit of this, we know tech is moving at an accelerated pace, or it feels that way. And that means that things are becoming exponential very quickly. And there's this sense of where am I in that and how I'm built, how do I run the business of today and then go focus on, the business of tomorrow that I'm supposed to be building. Now, at the base of that, we know that's always kind of been our retail conversation. It's always been a foot in today and then a foot into tomorrow to be planning, what your customers need next from you. Yes, it's a marketing term. I think really given the acceleration that we're seeing in the conversation and narrative, and frankly, examples with AI, it is a bit fitting. Now, last year, we know AI, Gen AI, Agentic AI was really kind of the main headline. I'm interested this year to see how does that go to the next level, and the examples that we've seen from January 2025 to January 2026. Where are we, and how do we continue to build on those ideas and themes? But this is where my piece of there's the ambition, the inspiration, and the practical piece. And I think this is where the practicality comes in. We know that for retailers, or frankly any industry, just because the technology is feasible, there's a reality factor of a people process portion within the business. And that's where the transformation comes in. And I think that's the hard part. AI is moving at new speeds. And that is a technology that will tremendously shift and change how an organization may operate around certain capabilities within their organization. And that's not an easy overnight change. That takes a ton of change leadership, skill development, new organizational muscles. And I think that's part of the practicality. I would bet that there are going to be retailers that are truly looking for real actionable guidance around AI. How do you actually bring that to an organization in new ways so that it can become part of the capability? Especially, our retailers have a lot of legacy footprint.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a huge challenge versus building a brand new, business from the ground up.
Well, to me, it like sparks that urgency. Yeah. Like, okay, we can all sit around and talk about what's next, but it's now. Right. So it's like, as the marketer I am, in my movie voice, by the way. But that's a really good point. Like, okay, AI, like, what is it? We've been talking about this. Like, we feel like
time for practicality.
Not only that, but it's time to start proving this stuff out, right? Like, so we got to implement it now, or else we'll be left behind. It kind of gets you in the mindset of like, you need to ask those questions. So I'm expecting, like you are, that the retailers will walk in and say, okay, well, how do we make this happen now? How does, we've been talking about it's the next big thing and all this kind of good stuff. It's got to happen now. How are we going to do that? Yeah. Show me some examples. How would we practically implement this into our world?
I agree.
Right? So
I agree. All right. You both sold me on this.
All right.
I think I'm a little more in tune with what this is supposed to mean now. I think, Mariya, to your point, I think the idea of, like you said, last year, everyone's talking AI because it was the next thing.
Yeah.
And here we are as we're going into 2026, it is happening. It's here. It's already, it's a done deal. Like it's not just a futuristic thing we're thinking about. It's where we are right now. So to your point, maybe the idea then being like, well, what is going to be the next thing? When we do this again in 2027, what's going to be now then that we are just kind of looking at as next at this point? All right, I'm sold.
So one important piece to that for us as solution providers, here's the big thing. We need to be able to show up and be able to talk in practicality, given the challenges of running a retail business, about how that change occurs. What does change leadership look like? How do we, how do they begin to adopt what this technology looks like within their businesses? And so that's our call to action.
That's a really good point. We got to start.
We're the ones they look to. That's the guidance.
Well, we got to pave the way.
Channel.
100%. Yeah, we got to start paving that way. And it is complex. It's multifaceted, as you've mentioned. Because you're advocating in a lot of ways that there's different corporate muscle movements that are going to happen here. There's just a lot that goes into these solutions, and you better have your story straight in doing that. What do you think? When you go back to in your retailer days, were you walking in the door like actively looking for? Were you in the buying mode, or were you more in the researcher mode as it relates to this? In this, I mean, just in general.
In general, so I've come in wearing a couple different hats. One was definitely research and themes and trying to understand. So meaning. Maybe there were experience and investment themes we were interested in, but we're in a research mode of discovery to go get more information. What are peers doing? What are we seeing as solutions, etc. The other lens was continuing to solidify and continuing to deepen certain relationships with providers where we had a relationship, and being able to meet folks face to face, being able to talk about what's next, being able to plan through for the year. So I think both of those things tend to happen. And, it's a little hard sometimes as a brand going in there because there are a lot of people that want to talk to folks and brands, which is understandable. And so, may there be moments where you're trying to get through the floor at times to get to your next thing? Absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
On the other side, I understand, all of us have different agendas we've got to go get done, and we just try the best we can to go do that.
Yeah. Good.
It almost sounds like what we're talking about here, like 3 days just doesn't almost seem like enough.
Well, in a lot of ways it's not. That's what I'm saying.
It's enough.
Okay.
It is.
Okay. Mariya says it is enough.
Oh, you are exhausted by the end of it. There's no doubt about it. Yeah. No doubt about it. But I'm just saying from a content perspective, it could stretch out over a couple of weeks. Yeah, for sure.
So clearly, as you've both very clearly demonstrated here, there's a lot to do at NRF. There's a lot of things to see, there's a lot of places to go, a lot of people to meet. Just a lot to experience there. So then let's, for our reseller partners, integrators, or even some of our like vendor hardware partners that are attending, how do they prepare to make the most of this show? And then maybe give that perspective from if they're doing this for the first time, or if they've been to several of them and they're just trying to find out what's new. What tips do you have to help folks get ready for this?
So. If you are in the tech community and you're attending as somewhat an attendee with the intention to be able to make the most of everything, I'll share some thoughts because I do know that some of us get tied to the expo floor and we are not able to leave from that place. But if you're able to get out, the biggest thing I would say is in the discovery mode, being clear on your objectives for the show. What are the things for your business that you need to go get done? What are the things you need to hear about, see, feel? What are those things? Be very clear about it. Don't deviate it. And you want to be able to anchor around those things because when you get there, in particular, if you're in a group, it's very easy to get distracted by new shiny objects or pulled off by your group to go, see the other thing. And when you do that, you're going to be determining your must-do. Are there must-do sessions because of the speakers or the topics, meetings in the expo that you need to have, floor visits to different types of solutions that you want to see, evening events for networking, that you want to be participating in, and then chart your course. Literally get the map out and chart the course, because Dean and I would know it is a very large venue, very large floors. So if you think you're going to go to a session and then zip on over to, over there to MB Expo, it could take 10 minutes to get out of your session, 10 minutes to go walk over to the other side, or even a meeting room on the expo floor. They are kind of sprinkled all over, and usually kind of on the farthest portions of the main expo floor. They could be downstairs, they could be upstairs. So again, chart your course, especially the things you must do. Build in time for break and rest. I think that is a critical thing.
Absolutely.
Don't skip lunch. Don't just and build in snack time. You're going to be on your feet quite a bit. You're going to be talking a lot and moving. You need to build in that rest time. Otherwise you won't make it, because as Dean said, most of these things are going to start really early, go all day, and then into the evening, and then late evening, because either it's an event or meetings or people you're trying to network and meet up with. And then it starts all over. And then I'll give you some real lessons learned, probably more than your audience is going to want to know. Pack light. Pack a battery pack for your phone.
Yes.
Paper, pencil, small device. Try not to bring a laptop unless you must, but you're going to be carrying that thing. It gets heavy. Pack some snacks for yourself, because the lines could be really long, and wear very comfortable shoes. And then some of us who have done this for a while, we try to look at where our hotel is located, Javits, so that if you can't get a taxi, which it kind of gets hectic, or an Uber, you can walk. You can get yourself partway there and then walk the rest, and it's not too difficult. So, those, and then let's all hope it doesn't snow.
Right. Yes. All that was pro hack right there. That is every bit that she just gave us is next level.
If you just advice for any show, but I think especially for this one.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to double click on the fact that I think veterans, what I find myself not doing is allocating time just to kind of walk around and absorb, because you get so into it. You've got meetings scheduled. I mean, I'm already scheduling meetings. I already almost know what I'm doing every night. So it's okay, I've just got big chunks of my schedule already full, but I got to leave myself time to go through that, innovation center and stuff like that. So I'm trying to be very intentional to say, hey, look, I'm blocking an hour or two, so I can just walk the floor and have an open mind about it, right? Kind of a thing. You agree?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That was probably something I learned last year. Lots of great meetings, being very pointed where, we need to go, but I felt like I lost out on the opportunity just to, observe and go discover some new things that I hadn't seen before, or, go up to the startup, the innovation space. I kind of zipped through that real fast. So definitely building in time to just kind of take it in. And particularly, like you said, the startup zone is really great. You kind of get inspired because you see the energy of these startups that are really focused on going to solve a problem. And you're looking at how the next gen solution and entrepreneur are approaching and attacking a problem with technology. And it's really fascinating. And it's a great place to learn, to see how are people thinking about these technologies and bringing solutions together, particularly if you're representing or you're coming from a very established brand or a very established, tier one provider. It's kind of fresh to see, a new perspective in that.
Yeah. The last tip I'll give is I think you need to be prepared for the meetings that you're going to be in, because, to Mariya's point, things are going to run late. You're probably, if you have a half-hour meeting, assume that you're really only going to have about 20 minutes, because somebody in the party is going to be late, and you got to bring your A game. You have to pre-thought a little bit, what is this meeting about? What do I want to try to accomplish? I think people appreciate that, because everybody's running around. Somebody's going to be late somewhere. there, and to walk into a meeting and say, okay, why are we here? And have somebody go, I don't know. Why are we getting together? That's like, no, bomb, I don't have time for this,
Why was this on my calendar? Yeah.
Exactly. So just, you got to bring your A game, be a little bit prepared, be ready to go through those bullet points very quickly, because everybody's trying to make economies of never time, right? And just be respectful of that kind of a thing. That's another, what I would throw on the table too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think the last thing I will add, just from I've never been to NRF, but just from my experience of shows like this, is if you are bringing multiple people from your organization, if you have a team, divide and conquer. There is no reason that any two of you should be in the same education session together, should be at the same booths, at the same meetings together. Divide it up, ask people to take some pictures of things as they're going along, take copious notes or whatever. So you can reconvene when you need to for lunch, maybe the networking event or something in the evening. But if you've got a bunch of people there, it's a force multiplier to have them all spread out in different directions, doing different things, so you get as much as possible. It's so much more. Good idea. If you're just moving a herd around from place to place to place, what's the point? Like, you should have just sent one of you at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
The company probably would have preferred you save that money. So.
Especially in New York. Yes. Not a cheap place to go.
No, not at all. All right, well, let's talk about some of the things that people will encounter when they're at the show, because when I was reading up on NRF, and when I see stuff come out of it every year, kind of reminds me a little bit of like the Consumer Electronics Show, where there's a lot of stuff that you hear about that you hear about once and you think that's cool, but it's not something that's actually anywhere tangible in our future.
Not practical.
It's like just a cool idea. I always think of like at the CES shows, and a lot of those tech trade shows, electronic shows, there's always the cool concept cars, which are just that. They are concepts. You are never going to be, I'm sorry, but I still have yet to see anybody in that color change car.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
You've seen it at every one of those shows for the last decade, or the one that can sort of fly or something, So it's stuff like that where I think there's just a lot of like interesting ideas and concepts that people will come across, but maybe not necessarily something that's going to be practical anytime soon. So how do you approach that when you're at one of these shows? How do you differentiate between just the stuff that's kind of cool, but is probably in the future and doesn't need a lot of time or attention or thought right now, versus the stuff that's, again, going to have an actual impact on retailers and the folks that are in our channel that are serving them?
Yeah, I think that's a hard one, but I will give a general from my perspective. In the innovation hub or their startup space, whatever they're naming it this year, that's where you're going to probably see these kind of newer ideas and approaches that some of them, yes, are probably in production in different brands and can bring some real examples. But I think you'll see some really unique approaches to a problem versus when you get to the main expo floor, which are probably some very large kind of tier one enterprise level solution providers. Most on that floor, for probably most product that they have, they're going to be showing a bit of what they have today that's ready to go and is available and is built on the back of products or portfolios that are well proven and in production. They're probably going to also provide a little bit of what's possible by connecting this, and this, you can, equals this. And that's probably where you're going to get some of that kind of future out there of what's possible. Versus just the practical, here's the portfolio and the pieces that we have. So separating kind of hype and reality, I think most retailers have a good sense of what they need because they can kind of break back or distill down, in order to go do that, here are all the components that need to go take place in order to do that. And these are kind of emerging and new. Yes, these are, well-known and in production. So I think you can cut through it pretty quickly. But again, I think that's part of the fun and frankly, part of the challenge that we all need to be thinking differently about it and really opening our eyes to maybe what is possible or what is different and new, so that we continue to gain that inspiration and continue to push, right? Push what's possible on the floor, push what's possible in serving the customer. And that's for me, such a great point of NRF. You talk to some of the veterans, and I know it is a show that takes your attention and energy, but there's so many places or so many pieces of it that are worth helping to really inform and, build that community of how we continue to transform, right? How do we get to that next generation of commerce, retail, whatever kind of consumer facing opportunity?
Yeah, brilliant. Again, brilliant advice there. The only thing I'll add is I try to make a point of it to, at the end of the show, I try to crystallize in my head, like, what was the vibe? What were people talking about? Yeah. And I start intentionally asking that question of all the people that I kind of bump into, because you're right. I mean, the point being is that retailers are going to be able to cut through the bull, pretty quickly. They know, is this production? Is this pie in the sky? Where are we with these kinds of things? It's kind of rare that you wouldn't be into that. So, but what you want to do is like, okay, what are people talking about? What seems to be capturing everybody's mind in kind of getting into their headspace a little bit. So, and I think that's, you can then gauge industry momentum, like where things kind of moving towards type of a thing. Yeah.
The sentiment.
So, right.
Energy.
For sure.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, Mariya, I appreciate your point of like, kind of having a little bit of a kind of a grounded base. Like, there's like a grounded ideas of what you can and can't accomplish and what you're looking for and you want to do. And I'm not saying you should ignore all the fun, cool, conceptual stuff.
No.
Everyone loves that stuff. Yeah. But keeping it within the lens of the practicality and the groundedness and what you think is possible and what actually is happening in the moment right now. So that's fantastic advice. I like that.
Yep.
All right. Well, in a moment, we're going to have Mariya explain a little bit more about what Intel's approach to the show is and what you should expect from them, as well as Dean telling us what BlueStar is going to be up to there.
Wait, what?
Obviously, hey, you're there, man. You got stuff going on. Right. You got to tell us what people should expect out of us, too. But first, quick note of what's happening around BlueStar Nation. Hey, if you want to do some more homework ahead of NRF, may I recommend a recent webinar hosted by the IHL Group. The 2026 Retail Intelligence Briefing provided an economic update with the latest data on inflation, tariffs, employment, impacts to retail, and also some street-level ground truth.
Which was a good one.
Very useful.
Very much so.
Ultimately, the focus was on which technologies have really moved the needle in 25 and where retailers are investing in 2026 and why. Thanks to an intel from our friends at Intel, James Cordy and I also appeared to explain what these trends mean for our channel and the technologies that we are paying attention to and seeing from our partners and how you can adapt and capitalize within your own business. So check out the link in the show notes to watch the recording, review the slides, and prep your business for next year's retail landscape. While you're doing that, take a quick moment to leave us a comment here. If you're watching on YouTube, leave us a comment, like the video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. Turn on those notifications so you know when new episodes come out.
That's right.
If you are listening on a podcast platform of your choice, if there's an option to rate and review, please just take a quick moment to do that. Just a couple seconds of your time. You would not believe how helpful that can be to a show to get it a little bit extra boost and attention and just get it out there in the ears of a few more folks. Of course, check out our BlueStar Nation blog. We're always doing great stuff over there and lots of useful end user surveys trying to get data from folks in the retail world. We've done a lot of retail surveys.
Yes,
in fact,
absolutely.
There's more to come. We've got one coming soon for like the QSR restaurant space. Check those out. They're good data that you can get out of there. And of course, send your ideas into us for the show. Tell us what you want to hear about on the podcast, who you think our next guest should be, topics you want us to dive into. We're always happy to follow the path that you set out for us. As always, you can send your idea to us. You can find us on the link on the BlueStar LinkedIn page, or you can email us directly, nation@bluestarinc.com. All right, let's wrap things up with a little VAR value here.
All right.
So, Mariya, I want to get your take on, we've got a lot of our, VARs and ISVs, vendor partners. We know we're going to be attending NRF. We're going to be there. Just a lot of folks that live in our space.
Mariya's like what she's going to be doing, or?
Well, yeah. All right. So I just want to understand Intel's approach to the show. How will you be out there interacting with existing and potential partners? How's your team going to go out and divide and conquer and understand the retail landscape for the year ahead?
I may have given you pieces of our playbook. Maybe. I think, well, first off, how Intel's showing up. So, we are compute. We are really behind the scenes. We are a component of the greater solution that's being, provided out into the retail market. So our intention is always to showcase industry solutions by our partners. We have over 30 plus partners that we are doing some type of either thought leadership, co-marketing, co-event, some type of showcasing and highlighting their solutions in the market that will be at NRF. And so this is our opportunity to really try to help our partners shine so that they get to the right audience with, the valuable solutions that they're bringing in. We also like to focus on how do we help accelerate that adoption conversation. And as I mentioned, what tools, data, information can we bring forward that help to address some of these real challenges about leveraging AI to solve a self-checkout problem? Or where do I put my compute? Where do I invest in compute from edge, device, all the way up into cloud or hybrid? What does that mix look like? And how can we help inform? We get asked that question all the time by retailers. And so we want to be able to accelerate that adoption by sharing information as best we can, delivering tools that can provide, benchmarking on AI workloads that run across a point of sale machine. So we try to do as much as we can on the education. The other is fostering innovation. We do that through consortia. So we participate and collaborate with different consortia and analysts that will be at NRF, highlighting themes, again, participating in their content, and really, helping to get visibility out to the greater community about what's coming. And then lastly, most importantly, and we talked about this, it's the divide and conquer amongst team members. So besides having really critical meetings that we need to have with our partners and customers, it's about learning, going out there and learning as much as we can, dividing and conquering on different topics. We want to understand, what do retailers need right now? What's top of mind? How do we go help the ecosystem? How do we remove friction points to certain technologies? How do we give better direction on what AI leadership looks like and how you even bring those types of capabilities into an organization? So that's kind of our approach as Intel when we go into a show like this.
Nice. Awesome. What a commercial right there for NRF. Like if it's that important for Intel to walk in with a learning perspective behind it, that's pretty darn good if you ask me.
Right.
Yeah.
Dean, what are we doing at NRF?
We're there to support our partners. Actually, when you think about it, I mean, it's a big show, right? Yeah. And maybe a little bit of anxiety going in for a lot of people because, if you're working the floor, you got 40,000 people walking by your booth and all this kind of good stuff. But for us, it's kind of chill.
Yeah.
In the sense that, cool. We're there to support our partners. We have a small booth, but we're not there to show anything. It's just actually we get badges that way. That's the best way for us to get in. But for us, it's critical on networking. We meet with our partners. It's just a great way. It's just an epicenter, right, of where retail is. So we get to meet folks. We can conduct a lot of meetings, but they're generally, not high pressure meetings. It's relationship building. It's solving any issues that might be out there and stuff like that. Some of our partners, our vendor partners, do stuff like NDA rooms where they're exposing you to technology, so they want you to kind of see what's next and those types of things, and those are fun to go to. But that's it basically. We're there to network, we're there to learn, like Intel is as well.
Just a nice chill hang for you.
There you go. I mean, it's busy. You're it's as a distributor, it's wall to wall meetings and stuff like that. But it's like the pressure's off of us, right?
It's kind of nice to have
as opposed to like an event or like a VARTech.
Yeah, I was saying it's kind of nice to have that show where you can just kind of go and just experience it, and not
a little bit.
Active, overactive participant. That's has a lot riding on your shoulders.
There you go.
So there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Well, that's what you can expect to find from Intel and BlueStar at NRF. All right, let's wrap up the show as always with what's on our radar.
Yes,
this is the fun part of the show. We get to talk about something in the world of tech, innovation, science, the news, business, entertainment, whatever we feel like chatting about today. Mariya, I'll let you kick us off here. What's on your radar right now?
Oh man, let's see. Two topics for me. The first one, where it comes to looking ahead at how retail is continuing to evolve, and frankly, like shopping and checkout. So for my history, my past, I've always been really in the checkout space, whether it's in-store checkout, mobile, or web. So I have this fascination about checkout. And I'm very interested to see how agentic is coming in, and frankly, agents, that is going to change the shopping loop. or does it just layer on top? So I was talking, if we look at the customer journey where we've moved from linear omni-channel to like this figure eight of this continuous, looping of serving and then supporting to now, like, what does it look like? Where's the journey evolving as we continue to get these new loops and agentic comes into that play, or having an agent that can go out and scour and go find things or go take an action for me on shopping. I just find that fascinating.
Yeah, very much so.
How that's going to evolve. And so I'm interested because we're seeing some partnerships come up, not mainstream yet. I'm just super interested in that. And then lastly, again, coming from an organization is really the change leadership. The amount of change that I think CIOs, CTOs, and frankly, chief legal officers are going to face in the coming years with the changes in commerce regulations, privacy, data privacy, sovereignty, all of those things, I think will be fascinating. And to me, that really draws on the sentiment from what's happening inside a retailer and how quickly might these technologies be adopted, but adopted in the way that it truly becomes a capability within the organization. We are not there.
Yeah,
we are far from that.
We got a ways to go. Yeah.
We have a ways to go. And unfortunately or fortunately, some of the examples we see, they kind of go from here we are today and they jump really fast forward without any visibility into the what's happening between that. What is that journey to get there? And so I'm fascinated on that one and really interested to talk to some of my retail friends about what they're hearing, seeing, and experiencing in that space.
That's awesome. Yeah. Going back to your agentic AI, as you were talking, I was thinking to myself, okay, so that's going to be a thing where we're like, I'm going to teach an LLM somewhere about my likes and what I don't like and, what clothes and stuff like that. So now I'm wondering to myself, am I going to have to give this agent a budget? Like I give my daughter when she goes shopping. It's like, because I don't want my agentic AI just going higgledy-piggledy and spending money. Like it's automating the shopping process. I think is, part, right? It doesn't take long for me to get to that point. Like, it knows what I like and stuff like that. But is it $50 a day? Is it what, or what is it? Is it,
like Dean really likes this $5,000 item. I'm going to buy it.
I'm just going to buy it. Yeah. It already knows. It's closing the loop on retail. And I just get stuff that's delivered to me, and it's probably going to be bang on exactly what I like, kind of a thing. And then I'm going to get the bill, and I'm going to be shocked and hard. But anyway,
I think of it almost like the next step is really, and I think this is happening. It's the item that I've been searching for at the value price that I wanted, and they finally found it. Just go get it for me. I've been looking for it.
Yes.
For me.
Okay.
So, and this is where also I think, you bring in the next gen of shoppers, right? Those next generations. I think, even though we're, dealing with today, these are the things that are going to be, future now with our next gen and how they're shopping and how they're interacting. So this is where it's like fascinating. How quickly will this start to take? How will my children, shop in the future, and how does that evolve? The things we're all working on today.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned the idea of like finding the best value of an item, because like it's Christmas season right now, and I'm already starting to prepare, for things I want to buy for my wife and my son and everything, and I've already hit that point where I'm starting to build up stuff in my save for later, like my Amazon card. Yes. And where every day I'm going into the cart and checking if it's got a message telling me that a price has dropped. Figuring out if that's the
good time to buy.
If this is the moment, do I want to buy it, or is it going to potentially get lower? Or let me go check Walmart, or let's go check these couple other retailers and see who's got the best price. I would love it to have an agentic AI that could just every day be like, hey, here's the latest of all the latest prices that are available out there for this item that you're looking for. This is a 40-day low. Now is probably the best time to buy. Good, go for it. Go and do it. I'm glad that is a tangible explanation of how this could work, I think, in a useful way. Because I can see some people that might be like, hey, I like to shop. I kind of like the experience of like checking all around and looking for the right deals and bargains or just finding that perfect item. I don't know if I want an AI just going out and just buying what it thinks I like.
Yeah.
But I think your point there of like finding the right deal when you know what you want, you're just waiting for that right price point or the right sale or something. That's a useful.
There you go. Perversion.
The product designer in me would say, well, that capability already exists in other industries, right? It's about stock.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Have those types of actions, right? So how does that come over? And then the agentic piece would really be like, could you build yourself an agent that's going to just go and do that for you versus having to wait for an enterprise to give something to you to go do that?
Right.
Yep.
This is the interesting shift we're in right now. Is being empowered as an individual to go do these things versus what I need from an enterprise level or a brand to go do for me. It's just a very interesting space that we're headed into.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
All right, Dean, what's on your radar?
I've had a movie trailer come across my social feeds or whatever recently, and I don't know why. But the headline is, tablets are the next Toy Story villain. Have you seen this?
I haven't watched the trailer yet.
I love Toy Story 1. Yes. I don't know about Toy Story 2 to 4, I guess.
I think
whatever.
3 is amazing. That's my favorite.
3 is your favorite?
Yes.
Okay. But I am very intrigued because I watched the trailer on this one. And, it's the whole buildup. It's like this package is delivered. It's in the UPS, and all the toys are like, just have this look of horror on their face, like, oh, what is it? What is it? What is it? And the reveal, it's a tablet. Yeah. And so it's like, I am very interested.
The ultimate villain.
Yes, how Pixar and how the writers. I haven't looked forward to a Toy Story movie in a long time, but I might actually be interested in this one to see how this one develops.
Well,
have you heard any inside information? Being the movie buff,
but there is a great point there, because my wife and I were just having this discussion the other day that our son never really got into action figures.
Oh, really?
A lot of the tangible toys. I mean, he's 8 years old now.
Oh, that's got to kill you because you love.
I did.
You're a Marvel guy.
I was the kid who played with G.I. Joes and Transformers. My wife was big into all the dolls and Barbie and stuff. Like we all went through those phases. And I just think a lot of modern kids, like that part of the toy industry, we might force it upon them, but they're just a lot less interested.
They'd rather have that tablet.
At his age, I still had a giant collection of those kind of toys and loved playing with them every day.
Yeah.
But now, when you can access any streaming show you like, and you got tablets with all the games and stuff on it or whatever. And this is not, I don't want to try to sound like the curmudgeon of like, in my day it was better. That's not what I'm saying here. It's more of just the things have changed and there's just not that kind of connection. But to your point, if you go back in the Toy Story world, where it's all about the tangible toys, we've already seen that progression.
Andy loves Woody, right? I mean, come on.
We already saw that progression where Andy got too old for the toys and had to move on and give them to another child.
Right.
But what happens when you get to the point where just the kids just don't care about those kind of toys anymore?
So that's why I'm interested.
Slinky and a cowboy doll, the kids will be like, all right, that's great when I was 1 year old and trying to figure out how to use my hands, but right now I don't care anymore.
So it'll be lovable. It'll be peaceful at the end. But I am very intrigued on what the storyline might be.
It'll give me enough reason to go see it. I agree.
There you go.
The franchise probably needs to stop. I don't know that we needed to go 5 movies. Again,
I don't know that we did either.
3 was very good, and 4 wasn't quite as good. But
but I feel like they got a good one here. I don't know.
It's a good idea there.
It's probably been years since Toy Story came out.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what's on your radar there, John? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, it feels like it's pushing it a bit, but now I am intrigued.
Yes.
I'm going to bring that story back around.
There you go.
There you go.
Maybe they'll find a nice way to reinvent it for a new generation.
Yes. What's on your radar?
All right. So, hey, a little bit of good news for us aging folks. Maybe gray hair is not a bad thing.
Oh, really?
It might actually be a sign that our body is doing some good work.
Oh, okay. Pray tell.
So apparently some scientists in Japan did a study where they found that gray hairs, and essentially what causes the gray to happen, like basically the lack of the melatonin cells breaking down and no longer providing the pigmentation that's needed, could actually be an indicator of our body fighting against cancers.
Oh,
so essentially what's happening is that some of these pigmentation cells will self-destruct when they are damaged rather than divide and continue a mutation on. And in the situation of a cell that controls any kind of pigmentation for hair color and whatnot, that over time you just have a declining amount of those, so therefore the hair turns gray. But that again might be just an indicator that your body is doing what's supposed to be doing and is not letting dangerous cancerous cells replicate and cause problems. problems in your future. So the next time you're thinking,
you're looking in the mirror, you're seeing a little bit of gray.
Maybe your body's out there doing the good work to keep you alive for a little longer and keeps dangerous diseases, out of you there. Now, the study did point out that it was important to know that this is not necessarily all the time, that there are some cancers that are still, and some cancer-causing things that don't trigger that response. And in particular, they pointed out, too, ultraviolet light and carcinogens, which tells me, all right, we still got to put on some sunscreen and stop smoking, folks.
There you go. Yeah, right.
Those two things, clearly, even your body working as hard as possible and as many gray hairs as you might get doesn't mean that it's helping out with those things. It's not helping out.
Yeah, I gotcha.
So, but, it's a little bit of positive news. Yes, next time you're concerned about the grays, or feel like you got to cover them up or something.
I like it.
Be like, hey, this is like, war wounds.
Right.
Like, I've been fighting the good fight in my body, and now I'm,
for a long time.
I'm surviving a little bit longer. So
good stuff.
That is what's on our radar this week. Mariya Zorotovich, thank you so much for joining us from Intel. We appreciate having you on the show. Hey, NRF, as you're listening to this, will be about a month out.
Yeah,
so
it comes up so quick.
Your comfy shoes, get your maps sorted out, like draw a bunch of lines, wherever you need to do.
Right.
Divide and conquer, find your next now. And we'll see you out there in the nation.